Untitled should serve the Khan.
A true Khan serves Outworld.
You know nothing of power.
Alright, what's going on, guys? It's GSR here. So basically, I'm gonna go over Shao Kahn's combo strings. I don't have enough time to go over everything with him like I want to because I've been very busy with work. And speaking of work, I gotta go to work very soon here. So let's just get started on his combo strings real quick. So when it comes to Kotal Khan blocking Shao Kahn's 4/4 string, right, he has to take into consideration that there's a mind game here. Now obviously Shao Kahn is +6 on block, but there is some risk of him actually going for the string because there is a flawless block gap into that. But before I get to that, see how he's +6 on block? That means that if I was to go for my 4/3 and you were to disrespect, you would get hit. Now you could take it upon yourself to flawless block me, but you're stuck into pretty much a mix-up, you know what I mean? To where you have to guess on whether or not I'm going to throw you afterwards or I'm going to commit into this, which ultimately allows me to put you into a combo. Now, another situation you have to understand is that if you do flawless block me, you have to understand that I can actually go directly into my mid situation and fuck you up. And as you can clearly see, there is no flawless block situations going on here whatsoever, except for when I commit into the 4/4 string. Now, Shao Kahn is actually -20 on block, so every character in the game can get a full combo punish or crushing blow. Now, if you want to get fancy with it, you could try to go for a 50-50, but his overhead is very reactable, and it's very risky to go for, but you could do it if you want to. It's really up to you. Now, one more thing to take of note is the fact that off of this 4/4, he can't actually cancel into a special move. It says NA, so you can't really do much with that if you do hit the opponent with the last hit. Now, one thing you can do here is that you can use the first hit, which is his standing 4, and if I was to do like a buff like this, a damage buff, off of me just doing like, you know, a standing 4 into a special move, and then a standing 4 into a special move, and then a standing 4 into a special move. I mean, as you can clearly see, I did little to nothing, and I got that much damage. Even if I was just to do it like this, right, I'm still going to get substantial amount of damage on the opponent regardless. That's an easy 40% for me barely doing anything. So this standing 4 is highly effective in combos, especially when he flawless blocks the opponents just in general. So I think that's pretty much everything off of this situation here. I don't think there's anything else to add. Another thing to keep in mind is that if he goes for this move, he gets a little bit of space here to where he might be able to backdash and whiff punish the opponent, but you know, just keep that in mind, right? So I think that's everything off of his Conquer All, aka his 4/4 string. So now we're going to talk about his die string. So before I get started on Shao Kahn's die string, aka his 1/2 1+3 string, what you guys have to take into consideration is that you're going to have to get the opponent to respect the fact that you have mids in order for you to get your highs out, because most of his highs have a lot of good shit in it, unlike his mids, right? So I mean, his mid, his 4/3, aka his last breath, it got buffed up, so it's a lot better than what it was, right? But the whole point of me talking about this is because there's no way that you're going to be able to get your highs out if you're not checking the opponent with Shao Kahn's mids. It's pretty much a high mid mind game. Now, if they fuck up, right, and they try to down one or neutral crouch really fast to where they can get a full combo punish on Shao Kahn for whiffing his high attack, you can make the correct read, and if you do make the correct read, you can actually check them with a mid, go directly into your full combo punish and call it a day. Same thing applies with Shao Kahn's back 2 that has pretty good range. It's a pretty good stagger to where he can actually throw you afterwards like this, or he can stagger and do it again just like this consistently. And if you feed into temptation, which more than likely you will, because you're going to think he's going to stagger and try to go for a throw, he can actually go for his shoulder charge, and if you try to break out immediately, that's when he can actually go for his downward I think it's like his shoulder smash or some shit, or whatever the fuck you call that shit. Let me actually look at the move real quick. Yeah, shoulder charge, and it just says amplify down R1 and shit, you know. But he can go directly into this move, and he can pretty much fuck your shit up and break your armor and then combo you. So you have to take that into consideration. And even if you do try to break out the combo anyway, he has another armor breaking move, which happens to be his scum grab, right? So let me show you guys that real quick. Armor break, you see that? So that can obviously cause a problem. Plus, I'm getting a little bit more damage on you when you do break out, and I catch you when you break out. So you might want to understand that, right? Now, like I said, you're gonna have to get the opponent to respect you. So the way you do that is by obviously going for your mids, and then once they respect, this is when stuff gets real spicy, right? Reason why is because the character has a +4 standing 1 that is a fantastic stagger to where he can go directly into a throw immediately, just like this if it's timed correctly. And another thing that he can do is he can go directly into his mid and create that mind game. So the opponent has to kind of guess on what he's going to do here. Now, once his crushing blow is actually charged up, this is when problems actually begin for the opponent, right? And the reason why I say that is because they're stuck into this mind game of, oh, is he going to do this? Is he going to do that? Like, they don't know if you're going to stagger or not, which allows Shao Kahn to pretty much open you up a little bit more easier, right? So here's the thing. There is a flows by gap in the last hit, right? So obviously you can cancel that out by going for a shoulder charge if you predict that they're focusing on flows blocking you. Now, the thing about this is that if you know for a fact that the opponent's going to sit there and let go of block because they think that you're going to stagger, they could flawless block you right here, but what you can do to prevent them just in general is committing into the full string just to get your crushing blow. So as you can clearly see here, the opponent will get hit and I'll still get substantial amount of damage on them, and they'll be knocked away over there to where they're probably going to think I'm going to throw a projectile, and then I could probably start up my buff here, even though the buff that he has is still trash, you know, pretty much for some reason, which doesn't make any sense. But you know, this is pretty much like the mind game that you can do. Also, you can pretty much do like his 1-2 and stop right here, and then you can more than likely focus on flawless blocking the opponent if you want to try and do that, if you know that they're going to press a button afterwards. But the thing is that if you do know they will press a button afterwards, after you go for your 1-2 and they're still blocking, and you think they're going to press a button because they think that you are not going to commit into the last hit, right, which is the 1+3 string, you possibly could catch them off guard fairly easily, and Shao Kahn still gets solid damage on the opponent regardless. 31%. I mean, that's literally combo damage. That's literally throwing damage, actually, for the crushing blows on the throws. So as you can clearly tell, this has a lot of potential, right? But not only that, you can also use his 1-2 in combos if you want to. But another thing is that this is a really good combo ender, and the reason why is because he gets even more damage on you compared to him. You know, see that's like 30% pretty much. But if I was to do the same combo, right, like this, as you can clearly see, like, it doesn't really give me the damage that I actually want, right? So if I mix it up and do it again, as you can clearly see, I'm not really getting the damage that I want. So this is a really, really good combo ender for Shao Kahn. So keep that in mind. Also, another thing, if I was to jump in like this and I didn't want you to break out, I can get an easy 21% damage on you very easily, almost 22% damage easily on you. And if I have my buff, actually, one thing that you have to understand is that, dude, I mean, that's literally combo damage that you just lost. And there's no way you can get out of it. You know what I mean? So, and you're knocked way over there. So I could possibly catapult over there. I could possibly throw this at you. I can possibly throw this at you. I could probably try and get my buff again to where I take a little bit less damage, because I know that you're probably going to try and zone me out, especially if I'm going against a zoner. So you guys kind of get the idea here with this particular situation, right? Now, another thing to take of note is that when Shao Kahn goes for his 1-4, right, and his 1-2, there's no difference in damage. Right, so just keep that in mind. Now, once you're done with the crushing blow with his 1-2, 1+3 string, you can still use that as a combo ender, but there's no reason to create a mind game off of that, because you don't have your crushing blow anymore once you've used it in the middle of a combo, or you created a good mind game right here while the opponent was standing on the ground. So you need to take that, you know, under consideration as well, right? So this string is pretty much out of here, right? So now you need to focus on hitting the opponent with this. Right, so once you hit the opponent with this causes issues. And the reason why I'm saying resort to this one is because once the crushing blow is done, you can resort to mix-ups. But before I get to that, actually, no, I'll just talk about it right now. If the opponent thinks that you're going to stagger the standing one, and you hit them with the second hit, obviously, as you can clearly see here, you can go directly into a combo, and you can pretty much fuck their shit up. And, you know, you can get, like, solid damage on them pretty easily, actually. So you can clearly see here, 29% every single time. I'm still getting solid damage on you. Good amount of space, good corner carry, good hit advantage, and you know, you get the idea here with this, right? Now, if the opponent was to block, however, right, this is a mid. Now, what you could do here is that, keep in mind, he has a little mix-up situation here. So let's see if there's a flawless by gap. See that if the opponent knows that you're going to take it upon yourself to go for this, you can take it upon yourself to do what exactly? That's right. You can go directly into your minus 20 shoulder charge, which happens to be undeniably unsafe. So just keep that in mind, and you can obviously mix the opponent's shit up very easily. You can probably catch them off guard every now and then by doing shit like this to kind of get them guessing just a little bit, or you could just kind of like stop right here, block afterwards, or you could possibly go for Nabari with like his down one, and it depends on like what they throw out, but his standing one might be able to catch the opponent depending on what they threw out. So like if how should I put it? If Shao Kahn was to go for this -3 situation right here, right? Keep in mind he's -3, so we do like 9 plus -3, that's 10, 11, 12, so that's 12 frames. So if Kodokan was to go for like his 4-3 or go for a high, my down one would beat him out, or I could go for Nabari and go for my standing one, right? So let me see if I can show you guys a prime example of that real quick. So he goes for like his 4-3, right? So let me actually cut that on real quick, right? So I do that, right? So let me just do that. Okay, -3, there we go, right? So you could flawless block him if you want to, which flawless blocking is going to help Shao Kahn out a lot, so I highly recommend you practice on that, so that way you can punish him every single time that way. But like I said, you can actually stop, you know, Kodokan every single time he takes it upon himself to do this, you know what I mean? And you can pretty much fuck his shit up. So just keep that in mind. And like I said, he has a form of a mix-up if the opponent takes it upon himself to block correctly, where they think, well, and what I mean by block correctly is that they don't fall for the stagger situation, you know what I mean? They hold block because they know if they let go of block, they get hit. But they're gonna have to take a mix-up, or possibly you flawless blocking them when you're -3 on block, because you're probably gonna just stop right here, and you might be able to catch them off guard. Like if they focused on flawless blocking you, you might be able to catch them off guard with a free throw. So that's another thing to take of note. But he gets a good amount of pushback here, to where he's pretty much safe because of the pushback and block stun. I don't think there's any character in the game that can actually punish him for going for that. So I think that's everything off of that string. Now, when it comes to Shao Kahn's 2-3 2-string, this string is not going to be used. Okay, first of all, it's not that good of a string in the first place to be using while you're standing on the ground like this. It can be used in a combo, mainly when you're setting up like his crushing blow situation with his merciless spear, because this is a good way of actually charging up his 1-2 1+3 string. So like say for example I do like a situation like this, 2-3 can come in handy because I can actually charge up pretty much my crushing blow. So if I jumped in and I caught you off guard like this, or I punished you, as you can clearly see I'm charging up my crushing blow pretty much easily, right? So this can obviously cause a problem for the opponent because they know that I'm charging up my crushing blow, so now they have something to think about, which ultimately they'll probably try to break out to prevent me from doing this, which allows me to hit them with my scum grab, or I could possibly hit them with this, so that can cause an issue in itself. But just doing this straight up while the opponent's blocking is not really a good idea. You can use it in combos. You can also use his 2-3 to switch sides with the opponent, especially if your back is not put into the corner. And what I mean by that is like if the opponent's back is pushed into the corner and you want to get as much damage on the opponent as possible because you know they're going to die from it, then you can obviously use that combo string as well for that particular situation. You get the idea with that string. So that string is pretty much out of here. When it comes to his 2-1 2-string, there is access to a low. So obviously as you can clearly see here, you can go for the overhead situation. Now, staggering this, I don't think is really a good idea. You can do it if you want, but there's no flows block gap in this, so if you just do this, you have a chance of flows blocking the opponent very easily. And depending on what character you're going against, you still might be able to go for an Nabari, but don't try to do that consistently, like where you're trying to like, you know, go for an Nabari every single time, because it's not going to work out for you every single time. You have to actually know that they're going to do a certain normal that's going to be slow enough to where you can actually do that. Now you can focus on flows blocking, that's really good, if they think that you're just going to stop there. Now the opponent gets hit pretty much with the second hit. Obviously, as you can clearly see here, this leads into a combo, and as you can clearly see, I'm going to go for my combo ender, and I get a solid 29%, and I fucked the shit up, right? Now, like I said, you can go directly into the overhead and substitute the low for the overhead, right? And there's no flawless block gap, so if the opponent thinks that you're going to take it upon yourself to just stagger the low and that's it, right? You can obviously catch them off guard and hit them with this, but you are -6 on block to where you can still flawless block them because you are safe. If they go for a high, you can down one them. Now, if they go for a mid, going for an Abari I don't think is a good idea, but you can more than likely flawless block them and stuff like that, and you get the idea here with this string. Not too much to add here with this string. It's a little bit of a mix-up there. Not the craziest mix-up in the game, but there's something there, right? So just, you know, just keep that in mind, right? So I think that's pretty much it for this combo string. Now, startup time wise, keep in mind it's 10 frames, okay? Now, when it comes to this character's 4-2-4 string, there's obviously a flawless block gap into there where characters with a 7-frame normal can obviously get a full combo punish on this character. Now keep in mind, when he goes for this 4-2, this is his best far-reaching normal, but it has a slow startup time. Now there is a high mid mind game that he can actually play with the opponent very easily to where he can actually take it upon himself to go for a fucking mid, because what does the opponent do? They neutral crouch because they know that you're looking to go for this 4-2 that happens to be safe on block. Now, if you know for a fact the opponent's going to take it upon themselves to try and flawless block you, you can actually cancel out this situation right here. Now, if I had a character that had a 7-frame normal, you can actually punch through Shao Kahn's combo string, which doesn't make any sense. I think I showed that back in the past, right? But what you could do is that you can actually go for his 4-2-1 situation here. Now you're not going to go for the last hit because he's -15 on block, and that's a really unsafe string. So you're mainly going to be focusing on his 4-2-1 that happens to be actually pretty safe on block, as you can clearly see here, right? So the opponent's kind of stuck into a mind game anyway because they don't know whether or not Shao Kahn's going to commit into the shoulder charge or not, which ultimately allows Shao Kahn to possibly go directly into a throw because they don't know if he's going to do this or not. But then again, I mean, as you can clearly see, he's kind of like, you know, takes them a minute, so they might be able to catch on to that, but you might be able to get that probably once in a while, but not all the time. You could definitely stagger his 4-3 and go directly into a throw just like this, just to catch them off guard, and if they fuck up, then obviously you can commit into the second hit and you can fuck their shit up. Now, like I said, there is a high mid mind game, and he is -3 on block to where he's safe, so you already get the idea. A bar, flawless block, etc. There it is. Now, like I said before, there is a flawless block gap in this, so you can obviously substitute the flawless block situation and go directly into the mid, and then once they try to flawless block, they get hit with this, which leads into a full combo punish. Also, off of this overhead situation, you can go directly into a low to create a pretty good mind game. Now, off of the low situation that he gets, if he hits you with this, he gets a little bit of hit advantage here, but it's nothing too crazy, which is unfortunate because he's super minus on block. But as you can clearly see here, he knocks you down to where this actually allows him to set up his 4-2 situation at this range, and also his back forward 3, which is a high mid mind game, but he is really unsafe on that mid, as we pretty much went over with a good portion of his combo strings that he has access to. So you kind of have to take this under consideration as well, because you have to make precise reads, and you have to know whether or not the opponent's going to block or they're going to try and neutral crouch and feed into temptation, which more than likely is probably going to happen because a lot of people tend to mash pokes in this game. This game is very mashy, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it for his 4-2-1 and his 4-2-4. I don't think there's anything else to add here. I think I went over everything with both of these, just in general. Now, one more thing to take of note is that when it comes to his low, when he goes for this, there will be certain combo strings when he cancels directly into this special move, this low special move, to where there's a flawless block gap in the first hit of this low. Right, so you might want to train on that and figure out which one it is. Also, they could just hold block like this and hit you. I'm pretty sure they might be able to hop up and hit you, or whatever the case may be. I'm not too sure, but you guys can test it out if you want. And I think that's pretty much everything off of those two strings in general. And now we are on the final combo string of Shao Kahn. Alright guys, so when it comes to Shao Kahn's last breath combo string, aka his 4-3-4 1+3 string, what you have to take under consideration is that there's a flawless block gap in the second hit, but he's -8. I wish he was -6 because he already has a flawless block gap in this, so I don't understand why he's still -8, but it is what it is, right? So if the opponent knows you're going to stagger his 4-3, if the opponent has a 7-frame normal like Liu Kang or Johnny Cage, or Sindel, they could get a full combo punish on this character every single fucking time. But his second hit is actually really delayed, as you can clearly see here. So the opponent has to make a correct decision, or they will get their shit fucked up, right? If they try to take it upon themselves to attack you because they think that you're going to stagger, right? Now, the thing about this is that if they flawless block you, they don't have to waste an up 2 or up 3, aka a defensive bar and an offensive bar, because you are minus 12 on block. So majority of the characters in the game can pretty much fuck Shao Kahn up just for doing it. They don't have to resort to that. They can actually take it upon themselves to do this, and as you can clearly see, Kotal Kahn can go for pretty much whatever combo that he wants, and he can pretty much fuck Shao Kahn shit up just for doing that. So just take that of note. Now, the funny part about this particular situation is that there's no flows by gap in this if I go directly into this, which happens to be really minus on block. That's why I think his 4-3 should just be minus 6 on block or minus 5, because it makes sense. But that's just my opinion, right? So obviously the opponent is kind of stuck into a mind game right there. Now, obviously, another thing you could do is to substitute the low and go directly into an overhead if you want to. It's really up to you, but it is pretty reactable. And as you clearly saw, Kotal Kahn was able to flawless block Shao Kahn's overhead, because, you know, hell, even my grandma could react to that shit. That's why I think they should have sped this up just a little bit. Nothing too crazy to where he's overpowered or nothing, but, you know, you get the idea here, right? Now, what does he get off of this overhead, by the way, before I finish the last part of this combo string, right? He can obviously amplify like this, and he's in the correct range for his 4-2 and his back 4-3, right? Also, he could backdash and possibly throw a projectile at you, or he could wave dash and get in and possibly catch you off guard, right? Another thing to take of note is that, as you can clearly see here, I'm not able to get anything off of that, but in the corner, Shao Kahn can actually get himself a combo, as you can clearly see here, a meterless one at that, to where he can fuck your shit up. Now, he can obviously do this with a certain combo string, which happens to be pretty much his 1-4 combo string. As you can clearly see here, it chained together, and then you can obviously go in for whatever combo that you want, and then you can fuck the opponent's shit up. So take that under consideration, right? Now, if Shao Kahn was to commit into the full string, right, there is a mid and throwing mind game that he could play here. Now, obviously, if he ends up hitting you with a down 1, you could possibly close block him if you predict that he's going to go for his 4-3, which more than likely he probably will, because you're probably going to mash, because you're going to think that he's going to go for a high. But the thing about this is that he gets 13%, which is technically a big deal, because he's getting a little bit of chip damage. But not only that, if he does hit you with a down 1, that's pretty much a little bit more than 13%, I'm pretty sure, to where he gets pretty solid damage. Now, he has to understand that this switch sides, just in general. So he can either keep you on the same side as him by going directly into the shoulder charge and getting a combo, which more than likely that's what the player wants, or he can switch sides with you, which this is highly effective if his back is pushed into the corner. And he gets 13%, which is not bad. It's close to throwing damage, which that shit can actually add up. But not only that, he has a hit advantage of 19 frames, which is highly effective. Now, obviously, this is pretty self-explanatory. If he takes it upon himself to commit into this, you have quite a few options to punish him, right? You can obviously hit him like that. You can obviously, you know, you can't backdash, so keep that in mind. But you can obviously neutral crouch, and you can pretty much punish this dude, and then you can do pretty much whatever the hell you want to do and set up whatever the hell you're trying to do. And this goes for any character in the game, just in general. And if he fucks up on the mid situation because he thinks you're gonna neutral crouch, and you block this correctly because you think he's gonna go for the mid, and he goes for the mid because he thought that you were going to neutral crouch. A lot of counterplay going on here that can create pretty good mind games, actually. So I think this is pretty much everything that I want to talk about with Shao Kahn's combo strings. Hopefully you guys understand Shao Kahn's combo strings a lot more better now that I gave a little bit more detail on that. But yeah, your boy is about to go to work. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
Fatality. Shao Kahn wins. Flawless victory.